what? How do you say?
Chefage.
Fudge.
Yeah. So that's a cool one. My favorite story is that I went to a salsa class and I was doing the dance, and after each dance, I would say multimask or something, and they would say some other word, and I would say cuplacere, like very small words. And then by the second round, the same girl came again, and she started talking to me in Romanian, and I was like, no, I'm not Romanian. And she's like, no, what are you talking about? You're Romanian. I'm like, no, I'm not Romanian. And yeah, and that happened actually that night a couple of times where some girls just thought I'm Romanian and I'm not. But
You see, you try to do a good thing and it comes back to bite you in the ass.
yes, yes. Is that gonna be part of the podcast?
Yes.
How you can do something and
Fun.
yeah,
Wow.
hello. How are
Hi.
you doing?
Hi, Sammy. Good.
Hello,
It is-
hello, welcome.
Hi, Monica. Hi, Alexandra. I'm
Hi,
really
Sammy.
happy to be here and to be able to talk to you. My
Yes.
name is Sam, and I grew up in a conservative family. So upbringing was a little bit conservative. Not a lot of information about sexuality and sex and all of the good stuff that we know and we talk about here. Then I moved to the U.S. and that kind of triggered something in me to question other or question stuff that I know, question things that was given to me as a default, and I started to ask questions, understand why we're doing stuff that way, and I started to just look for answers in different ways and in other books and in other cultures, and I stumbled upon Tantra and Taoism, and before even finding Taoism and Tantra, I was already trying to do my own personal experience and my own practice and some stuff along that those lines. And when I found Tantra and Taoism, it really aligned with what I was doing already, and I started to understand why I'm doing those type of practices and how and what's the science behind it, because there is actually a lot of science in Taoism, especially the acupuncture, the acupressure, a lot of different things that we are finding now. It's pretty amazing how Taoism is pretty advanced. All right.
How old are you now, and how old were you when you started to put things together?
25 was a big year for me, and 36. I am 36 right now, and 25 was a big year for me, and that's also I think I left my home country when I was 26. Between 25 and 27 I started to do more international traveling, and I've been to 66 countries since then.
Ooh.
Yes. So
Nice.
traveling really opened up my eyes to a lot of things that people just assume that there is one way of life or living, and then you go other place and you're like, whoa, this is amazing, I didn't realize that. I need to bring my mouse.
No worries. Sure, sure, sure,
I
sure.
changed position for you guys, so just 1 second.
That's what he said.
Tell us more about this tantric and Taoist perspective on.
Okay, so Taoism as a practice, it's an ancient Chinese practice, and they really focus on one thing specifically, stress. So they really want you to remove stress from your life and have a stress-free life, go with the flow, and all of the uh, easygoing lifestyle that you can think of. So you don't want to stress over life, over work, over even stress your body, even lifting weights, stress your body in terms of smoking and drinking and even a lot of extreme conditions that maybe would affect your body in a bad way. So I like to give that intro or background about Taoism because that will help you understand their point of view about love making and how they see the world and how they see sex. And sex to them is a very healing process. And they think about it in a very positive way. Also, they have some ideas about monogamy that you should be with one person. That's better, but that's they don't say it's wrong to be with other people, but that's just their way of saying we don't want to mess with diseases and other problems. So we're trying to remove that. So that's again the stress-free lifestyle that they're trying to go for.
Mhm.
Tantra, on the other side, is I want to call it that. That's my own personal terminology, so it's not a it's not a thing on the internet. It's a very feminist practice.
Oh.
Tantra believes that the female energy is very powerful. It's important to life on Earth. That's life that comes from the energy of the female energy.
And what does the male energy bring to the table in this metaphor of the female energy being life? What is the male energy?
Of course, the male energy has to be present to provide more support for life to happen, but they think that the female energy is much much more important and more crucial and more vital to support living and life as opposed to the male energy. So the male energy in this case, the sexual male energy actually is a little bit not neglected but not as important as the female energy, which is to me is a very feminist practice, but also it's good for women because it really encourages women to appreciate themselves as women.
That's nice. It's like the male role is more like a supportive role in
Mm.
this philosophy.
Yeah,
His role is to support the woman to find her true potential. This is what I understand.
yeah, yeah. And in Tantra also they see everything as God. So the atoms, the your skin, your eyes, your body, everything. So I like to tell women, you are goddesses. You are goddesses, and also I'm God. Every man is God, but every woman is a goddess, and it's a very empowering practice in that way. That's for everyone, right? But also for women, it's very empowering in terms of the female energy, in terms of the orgasm, in terms of how they really should worship their body in a way and know their body a lot, which I know in some cultures and some countries it's a little bit of a shame, but that's tantra.
So you already mentioned the key word of our episode this time, which is the orgasm. How does the orgasm look like in this philosophy for both men and women? I don't know.
Yeah, so I'll start with the men in tantra because it's easier to go over. So I like this line. It's a sentence in a book that I read, and it says, "If the man comes before his partner, he's not a man." It's as simple as that. Yeah. So, but in terms of orgasm, for women, you have seven types of orgasms. For
Oh.
women in Tantra, I'm not talking about Taoism, in Tantra at least. So the seven types are one, it's nipple slash breast stimulation that could
Mhm.
lead to orgasm. So some very fortunate women can actually experience that. It's not for everyone, and it's not an attainable thing, but it takes
Mhm.
time, and you can open yourself to it. And of course, the clitoris. That's the easiest and shallowest orgasm in a way. And then you have the entrance of the yoni. The yoni is the vagina. It's just a nicer term in tantra. So the entrance of the yoni, the G spot, and the G spot can be, I can't remember how many spots now, but they keep finding more spots in there and they keep adding to it. But back then in tantra time, they just knew about the G spot somehow. So let's go with G spot for now. And anus, um, and penetration. So they have that as a separate thing. And the last one is a combination of all of that. So of
Mm.
course you might not do all of it, but you might do three together, maybe four together, and that's the combination. And in my personal experience, the combination is the most powerful one, not
Mm.
the clit, because the clit is the easiest and the fastest and the shallowest of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And still, we were talking just before this interview that it still seems to be relatively less known or less mastered by some men,
Yeah.
even though it's the easiest one.
Yeah, and because it's the easiest one, most of women need the clitoris stimulation to have an orgasm. So this is a reality. Of course, maybe if they knew more about opening their bodies, we could experience more types of orgasms. But the reality is that most of women can have orgasm through clitoris,
Yeah.
and still it's a mystery somehow.
What's your
Yeah.
personal experience with all of these types of orgasm, and what's it been like for you?
Okay, this is a really good question because I would like to talk about um, providing a safe space for women. So I feel that's a very crucial step in the process of letting someone, a woman, orgasm to her full potential. So there is a theory, and I'm not sure how true that theory is, that a lot of women hold trauma and negative
Mm.
experiences in their yoni. So, and I've had experienced that before where a partner was going through a lot of stuff and she just couldn't orgasm regardless of what I've done. Because at
Mhm.
that point of time, she was really affected by it personally and it affected her body and it affected her yoni. So that's a really important thing to understand that, yeah, sometimes you need to let them feel comfortable and feel safe and feel that it's about the journey. Of course we're enjoying this and eventually you want to go to the destination, but it's not the most important thing. And creating that and having that talk when you talk to someone and tell them, hey, I'm very aware of that, I want you to be relaxed and just enjoy your time and let me handle some stuff for you, and it's okay to just lay back and enjoy and don't worry about the time and look at the time and be like, oh my god, I'm sorry, I'm taking too long. And that's not the issue here. The issue
Mm.
is just we're exploring, we're having fun, we're enjoying it, and we're pleasing each other. We're not trying to get somewhere. It's good if we go somewhere. Of course, as a man, I have that achievement in my head that I want her to get to her most pleasurable experience ever. That's just as a man, as a provider. But still, I try, which I learned now that I have to lie a little bit about it and be like, no, it's okay. It's not about the destination. Back in my head, I want her to get there, of course, and it's a white lie. It's a white lie, I would say. So I had to trick the system, and in advance, I'm trying to express that my interest here is really to have fun and make you feel good about yourself.
But how do you get into that mindset? Okay, maybe you have in the back of your head the idea that you want her to achieve orgasm, but how do you get yourself in that mindset that she doesn't notice that, and you actually have to enjoy the moment and enjoy her body in order to for her to feel safe and free? Is there a strategy for you?
Yeah, there is a strategy that I have been trying out and it's been working, which is a simple massage. So you start with a massage and you start to explore a little bit and to um, try to enhance your experience between the interaction between each other, and that really help you also explore her body and make her feel comfortable, relaxed. And you're not gonna just go right away and touch her yoni, of course. You're just gonna warm her up and play with her body in all different ways and touches, and then you get to the yoni when she's ready. And you wanna maybe even going through the massage process, you can express to her like, hey, I'm gonna try to do a yoni massage, which is a thing, and it's only focusing on your yoni, yes, but it's not focused on your clitoris all the time. It's actually around it, and I want to give a good massage to all of your uh, parts, um,
Mm-hmm.
in that sense, to make you feel comfortable and then explore more of how you are um, connected to your sexuality, because that's important. Because I try some moves and then I see how she responds.
Do you ever find yourself in your own head going, without wanting to, but like going, oh, this is not going very well. She's very stressed, or how can I help her more? Maybe I should try this. Oh, but this isn't also working, blah, blah.
Monkey
Yeah,
mind.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Especially as a man, and in the first, I would say in the first couple of times, you're always gonna be thinking about your performance. You're gonna be trying to figure out what you're doing wrong. You're trying to figure out the person. You're trying to make sure that she's comfortable. And that's an important question for me. During even I ask like, are you okay? Is everything okay? Does this feel good to you? And
Mm.
I'm not gonna lie, it's hard sometimes when you are in the action to be like, oh yeah, that actually doesn't feel good to me. Like, it's not easy for everyone to be verbal about it. But
Mm.
some women are very verbal and they are like, oh, thank you for asking this. Actually, I don't think that's working for me. Can you change it up?
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
this is very important. Your ego has to be set aside. You are a man, that's fine, but you're not a woman. You don't know her body. She knows her body. Whatever works or worked for you previously with someone else might not work at all. You're like, oh, I want to show her this move, and maybe she doesn't like it, and that's okay. But she knows her body 100%. Let her be in the driver's seat. It's fine.
You said the first couple of times it's harder because of this process of getting to know each other's bodies and everything. So this made me think that you're thinking of at least mid length relationships, like relationships where you meet this person several times,
Yeah.
no matter if it involves a lot of emotions or anything else or not. So, does this mean that, in your opinion, things like one night stands or hookups are bound to be less, I don't know, less of a good experience from this point of view?
They're gonna be a great experience. It depends on your target. I've had one night stands, but in that sense, I had a very long conversation with the person, and we explored, we talked about
Mm.
sexualities, and we really explored other stuff. And I like to talk about tantra and Taoism, and pretty much everyone is intrigued or curious to hear about it. So that opens up that conversation. But if you pick up someone from a bar and you go home and you didn't really talk about what they do and what they like, and you're gonna go and make love, it's gonna be hard to reach that point of connectivity. It
Mm.
takes time and it takes effort, and you have to be aware and you have to be very intentional about it. So yeah, you can. I've had that before, but that got, or I got to that point after several trials and several years of reading and experiences and so on. Um, so I wouldn't be surprised, but it's not for everyone. And that's also a really good point. not all women would enjoy a man who does not ejaculate,
Hmm.
because some women would feel a lot of achievement and a lot of satisfaction from the fact that they are satisfying their partner.
Yeah, but do you think that it's actually about the satisfaction they feel, like physically or mentally, or it can be this social pressure that um,
Mm,
men usually ejaculate when they have sex, and then if they don't, it's going to feel like I did something wrong, like I'm not good enough.
right.
So maybe like for men, orgasm of female, it's an achievement. This is a little bit similar for the women as well.
Yeah, yeah, probably. And that's what Tantra and Taoism are really big on, to change that perspective of a man has to ejaculate. That's not true. Um, the man could ejaculate, but it's actually better not to ejaculate and save that energy. And actually, in a lot of religions too, if you look deeper and deeper, you're gonna see that okay, sex is only meant for reproducing or reproduction, of course, and to get the woman pregnant. So in that sense, Taoism and Tantra are not actually that strict about having sex. They say, okay, it's okay to have sex, but for the man, please restrain from ejaculating because you're wasting your energy.
Yes, that's what I want to discuss. There is this idea I know from Tantra that there is another kind of orgasm for men without ejaculation, but you still can have the full benefits of an orgasm. What is
Yeah,
your
yeah,
experience about this?
yeah. I want to hear this too. How does it feel subjectively?
Yeah, so I talked to a lot of my male friends and mentioned to them, hey, yeah, I don't you don't have to ejaculate every time you have sex, and everyone was like, what are you talking about? And then one of my friends, we were actually in a big tour bus, we were going somewhere, and one of my friends back there, he was like, yeah, 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 he's right, I know what he's talking about. I was like, yes, finally someone said something. So yeah, there's always like two people out of 10 who would be like, yeah, it's okay not to, it's fine that you don't have to actually
But
ejaculate.
there's still an orgasm, right? That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Or the
So what I'm
okay.
trying to get to is that you can train your body to actually really enjoy a lot of it without ejaculating all the way. You can actually maybe ejaculate a little bit. That's premature ejaculation. That's something that you can actually get some pleasure from. But also the ultimate goal is not even to release any fluids, but still enjoy and have a lot of pleasure, and
Hmm.
that comes with practice. It's not easy and it's not for everyone, and well, it could be for everyone if you put the effort in. So uh, any man would know the point that I'm going to mention now. It's called the point of no return. NPR, point, sorry, PNR, point of no return. And that means that if the house is burning, if there is an earthquake, if there is an attack, and you feel that you are really close to ejaculating, you're going to ejaculate. Nothing will stop you. That's the point of no return. So you're trying as a man to play and edge yourself right before that threshold. So the awareness of yourself knowing this is my point of no return comes with a lot of practice, that you
Mhm.
practice at edging yourself and pushing yourself all the way, but not all the way to ejaculating, just a little bit, that you would still have space for yourself to recover and stop yourself and then go back up and try again and push yourself. So that motion of what we call edging is a really good practice, and there's a lot of pleasure coming out of it for the man, just from practicing edging. Of course, when you ejaculate after a lot of edging, it's a fountain, and it's crazy. But uh, That's what happens because you're edging yourself, so you're building a lot of tension. So in tantra, there's something called sublime. So you are in the action and then you stop yourself when you feel that you're really close. Maybe you slow down. Maybe you start pleasing her more. You go down on her. You do something else. You give her a massage, or sublime in that sense, meaning that you are transferring the energy to another form of energy. So you yell, you scream, you go and jump and do push-ups and do a headstand or handstand, and hopefully she's not gonna think that you're crazy. But you have to talk to her about that too. Like, hey, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to last longer, and I want to have more pleasure with you, and I have more time with you. So if you see me jumping uh, off the window, it's fine. I'm just gonna come back and run for 10 rounds around the house and be fine. So that's sublime. Now Taoism is a little bit different, and there is something called the $1 million point, and it's between your sectum and your anus.
Mm.
And I
Hmm.
haven't been able to successfully practice this properly because it's a really hard one, and that's why they call it the $1 million point, probably because it's pretty hard, and it feels amazing from what I heard, but it's really hard to really perfect that. And what you're trying to do is that you are pushing yourself to ejaculation, but before that point of no return, you're actually pressing on the point, the $1 million point, and it changes the flow into an ejaculation instead of ejaculation. So it doesn't go outside, actually, your body gets it in and benefits from it. And that's a really hard one. I'm not going to lie, and I haven't been successfully able to do it properly. But I've
Mm-hmm.
been doing other stuff where it's a little bit easier. It's still hard, but a little bit easier, and you can practice more by just working on um, anus contractions, and you can do this like Kegels, right? It's very similar in a way to that. That you're trying to control your body internally, and that's something actually really big in Taoism, the internal organs. So a lot of people just work out, and that's more external stuff, but they focus on internal exercises to work on your kidney, work on your uh, maybe what else? Sorry, I can't remember now all the organs that I want to talk about. But yeah, you just
Yeah.
got the idea. There are a lot of different internal exercises that you can do, breathing exercises, and things like that that will focus internally more than externally. So that's part of Taoism. And sorry if I diverged a little bit out of the topic.
It's okay, don't
Yes.
worry.
Ah, it's okay, it's okay. I want to ask you two questions.
And
What's in it
you're,
for you? Like, where do you find the motivation to have all this practice in order to
Mm,
achieve better sex and longer sex? And second question is, how do you do that? I mean, what kind of exercises did you do in order to achieve this control of your body?
okay, so really good questions. I'm gonna try to be as practical as possible in answering these questions because Taoism and Tantra have certain things that could be out of this world, which is understandable. Any practice, any religion, any lifestyle can bring some extremism in it. So I'm not going to talk about the extremism in those practices, but there are some. But in terms of Taoism, what really triggered me to be very keen about it, not ejaculating a lot, is aging. So aging is very important in Taoism, and they have some ideas about your biological age and your actual age, and they are different.
so your motivation to go down this path.
Yes, so aging in Taoism is a very important point, and they talk about your biological age versus your actual age. So the actual age, of course, is just your years on Earth, but there is a biological age that and you see that all the time. You see someone who is 60 years old, but they actually look like 40 or 35, and you're like,
Mm.
how their skin is really nice and they look good and everything. And same, you can see someone who's 40 and they look like they are in their 60s, and that's just because of stress. So they are really big on aging and how to stop aging, which is a really interesting conversation for later, for probably outside of this podcast.
But it's
But
already clearly a big motivation. Who wouldn't want this?
right, right, and we have already a lot of different researchers now trying to find how to stop aging. Taoism actually gave us the key, but we're not really using it. But one of them is the ejaculation for men. So you really
Mm.
have to store that energy in. And as soon as I started thinking about that and see it, and I started to practice that, and I can see myself, the power and the energy that I have. And also a lot of people would meet me and hang out, and we would talk, and then they would ask me, oh, how old are you? And I would say my age, and they're like, whoa, I thought you're like in your 20s. I'm not saying that
Yeah.
I look young, but also if I shave and I cut my hair, probably I would look even younger. But anyway, so that was kind of a motivation for me to trust the system, trust tantra and Taoism, and go with it. And so aging, anti-aging exercises. Now to practice that, you have to practice on your own as a man for a little bit, of course, to understand your body, and that brings a lot of awareness to your body. You start to notice more stuff, to know, to understand yourself. Yes, it's a very simple system, and it's an one single orgasm in a way, but you still can play with it and understand and really get a lot of pleasure out of it. But you have to spend some time doing that, and that's part of the practice in Taoism and even Tantra, that you have to work on it sometimes. And you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna start masturbating, and you're gonna make mistakes, but you're not trying to masturbate for to end. You're trying just to do the edging part. And then people would ask, oh, how about blue balls? Yeah, you can feel some discomfort, but actually it's not as bad as you think. You can also train your body to start absorbing that more and deal with it better. Now for as a partner or as partnered, there is a lot of pleasure for me, at least, when I satisfy my partner, and when I can tell that she's really enjoying it and that she's feeling something that she never felt before. To me, that's really important, and actually, I can just get a lot of satisfaction and pleasure from that without even having an actual intercourse or having an orgasm. And that's just from, I guess, men are providers, so we want to provide that experience. We want to provide something like that. You don't want to get into the ego centric thing and think more about yourself. It's okay to give more, and when you actually do that, women will really do their best to satisfy you. So even if that session happened and you didn't get any pleasure or anything, you still get some pleasure, but she didn't really focus on you. Next time she's going to focus on you, and she's going to give you all her attention and more. So you kind of playing the system, but you know also that you're doing it for the good reasons. So also something about the orgasm, the female orgasm, that I noticed is, if a woman is actually breathing and she can scream and talk and all of that, that is not a really strong orgasm. That's not as strong as when she's out of breath and she can't say anything, and you feel that her heart almost stopped. And I'm not kidding. I experienced that, where I'm like, whoa, did I just kill her? I'm like, I hope she's not dead. And you can feel that her whole system just goes into a restart. And I call that moment, and that's my own term again, the rebirth orgasm. That her whole body just goes into a restart mode, and that whole energy, which is very encouraging from Tantra and Taoism for women to orgasm and please themselves and all of that. But that whole energy can actually be a full body energy rather than a localized orgasm. So the clitorius stimulation or orgasm is more of a localized orgasm just for that specific area. Now, it can go to your legs, it can go to other parts, but it's not a full body orgasm. And the full body orgasm is actually more of a silent orgasm where you can't really say anything. You see rainbows, you see colors, and your mind is not here to scream or to say anything. You're just you can't even breathe, and then all of a sudden you come back to life, and you're like, whew, yes, I'm back
Mhm.
here. And that's the deepest orgasms that not I can't speak for women, but at least I experienced that from an outsider
Mm.
perspective.
This sounds very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's something that what everyone would like to experience.
I'm very glad that you're really walking this path because it sounds like something that not most men do, and it's you're also so dedicated to it, which really sounds very good.
Yeah, so my journey actually started with an insecurity,
Hmm.
which is interesting to hear that now I believe I don't have that insecurity, but before it was an insecurity because I didn't believe much in myself. And growing up in my home country, people don't come and tell you, "Oh, you are a good-looking man." People would tell you, "You are a man I can depend on. You are a good man." But no one would be like, "Oh man, you are a sexy man. You are a hot guy." Like people don't say that. So I didn't build that self-confidence, and when I started going out and meeting women, I had an insecurity. And when I went on my first sexual experience, for example, I was like, okay, wow, I'm really happy and grateful that I'm here with her. She's giving me her body. I want to give her everything I have. I want to try to please her. I don't even care about myself. I was very insecure and I felt that, oh my God, this is an amazing opportunity that she's giving me her body and I want to give her back. So I started by giving more than receiving. And actually, in the process, too, I started to see that actually women would try to give you more when you
Mm.
do that.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, I started to get some pleasure from it, of course, and to understand women more because I was focused more on them rather than me. And then I found Tantra and Taoism, and I was like, oh, that makes more sense. That's actually pretty good. So now let's take the other example because I've been with some women who are, let's say, 9 out of 10. So they are really hot, they're very sexy, whatever. And then they go into bed and they think that hey, I'm doing you a favor because I'm here and
Mm.
you are actually having sex with me or whatever the situation, and I'm just gonna sit down and do nothing. And that's a very bad experience. So I've had some bad experiences with really amazing, good looking women. And then you see another woman who's not very confident, maybe in herself, but she wants to really please you because, again, she thinks that it's really good to be here. She appreciates that moment. So what I'm trying to say is that some men who are really hot, they're very sexy, whatever, and then they go into that situation, sexual situation, and they think very high of themselves and they don't really give much.
Mm.
So that's also an ego thing that, hey, I'm here. I don't even have to do much. It's enough that I'm just here and you can just enjoy me.
So, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that it's really nice if you can balance the giving with the receiving. Whether you're a man or a woman,
Yes, yes,
you
of
want to
course.
try and do both of these things.
Yeah, and give more. And when you give more, the other person will give back more. Uh, whether you want it or not, they're gonna try at least. So which is nice, and that has been my experience, especially with women. Every single woman will just take that and try to give it back, unless she has some blocks or something that's preventing her from doing that. But most women will, if they are into you, they're gonna really do their best to satisfy you because they
Mm.
see your effort, and all you have to do is show a little bit of effort.
And that in change gives you more confidence. I mean, when you see a woman is trying to give you back, gives you more confidence in yourself, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, you feel valued and you feel good about yourself, and yeah, you feel that what you're doing is good too, was good to her, and it gives you some self
Mhm.
confidence, some self boosting, and satisfaction for sure.
That's very nice. It's like you get rid of your insecurity by uh giving more.
Right. Yeah. Well,
That's beautiful.
thank you. Well, my target was just to satisfy her, to keep her interested and to keep her going, and then it turned into something beautiful. But my original plan was like, oh, if I can show her that I'm really good at this, or at least that she can get a lot of pleasure, she's gonna come back and ask for more. So, and it turned out to be a good thing. So so that's
Uh, One last question I have for you. If you would summarize from your experience and also from your knowledge about sexuality, what would you think? What would you say are the most important things to make a sexual act amazing? Like from your male perspective.
um, okay. Checklist. I would say first thing is communication for sure. Try to communicate to her what's the intention, how is she feeling, what she wants to do, and I know it's silly and people are like, why we even have to talk about this? But you have to understand where she's at and how is she feeling. Maybe she's not feeling it. And if she's feeling it, what type is she feeling? And that's okay. It doesn't make you look bad or anything. It actually makes you look good that you are aware and you know what's going on. So you ask, okay, are you in the mood for a massage? Are you in the mood for something more, or what type of mood do you would like to have? And
Mm.
then the second thing is that you really need to get rid of time. So time is a big stress resource in my opinion. In my humble opinion, I feel that time can really cause a lot of stress on us. So that's one thing that we really want to let go of. Like, hey, we're here together. I'm really happy that we're here. I want to just enjoy this. And it doesn't matter how long it's going to take us. Let's just focus on us and explore each other's and really take our time. So slowing down is really important, to go through the process and take your time and try to explore. And as you're exploring, you want to hear the feedback, you want to understand whatever you're doing, is it good or bad. You want to know, and you don't have even to ask. Some people would say, yeah, you can ask. Sure, you can ask, but you can just really be aware and really be observant of how her body, how her breathing changes, how her moaning changes, how her body responds to every touch. And you start forming your catalog in your mind, like, okay, I should do this, I shouldn't do that, and so on. And then uh, you really again wanna maybe mix it up a little bit. It's not just slow, it's not just pounding, it's somewhere in between. And you can mix it up and also even mix up the act. So you're having an intercourse, it's okay to stop and go down and do some oral, and maybe even switch it up a little bit, and regular touch, romantic touches. It doesn't have to be even sexual, and then you go back to that. And that gives her time to build up the intensity, and for you also to take a pause, recover, and come back strong. So you're actually doing two things here that are really good. And by really warming her up and building that tension, the orgasms that she's gonna experience are gonna be multiplied, because you can actually ride a wave of orgasms. So you can build up that tension and that orgasm to more and more and more. And again, you have to know the person. So it's really hard to just have one experience, one good experience, and be like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. No, you have to go through it every time and try to understand the other person and what they like and how they like it. And again, the last thing is, it's not just the sexual action or act, it's also pre and post. So you want to have a pre session, which is usually massage and just a foreplay and all of that good stuff that we know, and also post session, Post session means that you're cuddling, you're hanging out, you're just still touching, you're still talking. You can still. I like to ask that question: are you done? And it doesn't make me bad as a man. It actually makes me good that I care about her and I want to make sure that she's satisfied. And some women would say, no, I'm okay. And some women would be like, oh, actually, you can play with me more. I'm happy with that. And it doesn't mean that you didn't satisfy her, but you will never satisfy 100% because the female orgasm and energy is really boundless. It's limitless. You can just keep orgasming the whole time and you can keep going and going and going. The man is just limited and you can do more. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, since we're talking about some techniques and how to satisfy your partner, it's something worth mentioning is the lingam, which is another word for penis or the male part. The lingam, that's a tantric terminology. The lingam size is very important to talk about here. Um, I did a small survey from women that I know, and I'm not saying that I slept with all of them. I just talked to them in general. And when I talked to women, and they opened up to me, and they told me, actually, we prefer a smaller lingam, not a bigger lingam. And that's a very huge misconception because of the porn industry and because of other things that are going on and because of your ego as a man. You want to feel strong and powerful and all of that, but actually to have an average, at least an average is a good size. It's enough size. And I even started seeing that a little bit in some um, pornography videos that it's actually not used, even if you are like, I don't know, I'm not going to put a size on it. You're not actually not using the whole thing. You're just using some of it because you can't even do the whole thing because it's going to be very painful for the woman. And that's
Hmm.
something also that's really important to know about matching men and women and how the size of the length of the channel of the vagina has to be matched with the size of the lingam. And there is some science behind that. I'm not going to talk about it, but you can actually match that. And when you match these two together, it can create a beautiful heart to heart connection. So, and again, there is some science behind it and how it's explained and how you can uh, create that connection. But one thing to mention here is just that having a smaller lingam is not a bad thing. You can actually still satisfy and you will have a good experience. And a lot of women don't care and they don't really want a larger one. I have a story where one of this one I dated, and I was talking to her about that topic, and she was like, yeah, my first boyfriend was just huge. And I thought everyone is like that. And I was really dreadful of the experience. I didn't want to have it. It was painful and I wanted to please him, but at some point it was just too much. And after that, after they broke up and she started exploring more, she was like, oh, okay, so he's just a one off and other people are fine and I can experience that. I can,
You.
yeah, I can enjoy it. So that's just a small example. I don't know how big he was, and we don't have to talk about that. But it's just the idea of that. Yeah, you can really have good sex if you know how to use it, how to prepare your partner, and how to set it up, and how to really enjoy the process.
Yay, amen to that. I do subscribe.
Oh yeah. Tammy, this has been really great. I'm very happy that we got to talk to you and find out all these wonderful things.
I'm really glad to be here, and I really enjoyed this session a lot. And I'm very happy of your work and the podcast. And one thing that's important to me is really empowering women to embrace the goddess inside of them and to really take that powerful energy and use it to their benefit. So that's very
Mm,
important to empower women everywhere to have to enjoy their lives and enjoy their pleasure.
Awesome.
wow, that's very beautiful. Thank you very much for being today with us, and have a lot of sexual pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you.